we got some questions. First one comes from Ethan Adams. In terms of overall quality of a drum video, be it a lesson or a performance, rank these in order of importance.
Okay.
Camera/lens, lighting, drum gear, setting, and post-processing/editing, audio and video.
Okay, let me let me type these out just to make sure I have them all in front of me. Okay, so camera and lens, lighting, drum gear, setting, and then editing both audio and video.
Yeah, and then he says, in other words, how should one be spending most of their money/time when wanting to have a successful online career? So we'll rank those, and then we'll get into that question.
Okay, deep question, but a good one for sure. Because these are all money pits. Let's be honest. You could go broke down any one of these wormholes. So, being that we are first and foremost musicians, I mean, there's different types of musicians, but first and foremost, I think that's the thing you gotta be in love with, right? So, I'm gonna put drum gear as number one. I think it has to be number one. That doesn't mean you have to own your dream kit before you buy a nice camera, a nice lens, or invest in a better computer or a plug-in. You're gonna be skipping around this list for sure. But first and foremost, you should love your instrument and the sound that you're getting, or at least be satisfied or content with that. I just think that has to be first, right? So yeah, definitely drum gear. Now, second to that, I would say, audio gear isn't on here. But maybe it doesn't need to be, because you can get away with, we've talked about it on this podcast, 1 mic setup, 2 mic setups, get you a little Claret 2 channel, a couple nice overheads. You can get away with that. So yeah, maybe we should just leave that out. Next in there, I think I'm going to say editing would be next, because if you get a really nice camera, but you don't know how to do any type of color correction, sharpening, transforming, cropping, editing, basic transitions, what good is that footage if it's raw off of the camera and you don't know how to manipulate that footage at all? I would rather have like a GoPro, which you guys probably know from me talking over the years. I don't really like GoPro cameras at all. I don't recommend them to anybody. Ooh. It's an action camera used for outdoor sports. It's just not what we do. Also, if they're pretty exclusively like super wide, oftentimes too wide, and they underperform iPhones indoors for the most part. Anyway, we'll save GoPro for another podcast another day. Yeah, I don't like them. But I say that having owned many. There's some in this studio actually, but I haven't touched them in years. But either way, I would rather learn how to color correct on a GoPro, which you could get used for $300 or $400. I'd rather learn that way than go buy the $1,000 camera and not know what to do with that footage. So I would say editing would be next, and you can learn how to get the basics of editing down off of iPhone footage or whatever, Android, whatever you have. You can certainly color correct, sharpen, and work on transitions. You can get some editing fundamentals down before you have the nice camera. And then when you get the nice camera, you're gonna know what to do with that footage, right? So the next thing I would do would be get the camera, but so those are our top three. Drum gear, then a little bit of editing. I would get some editing skills under your belt, then spend the money on the camera and the lens. Of those two, by the way, the camera and the lens, spend more money on the lens. Get the slightly cheaper camera that you want and spend the money on the glass. I think you'll, this is expanded heavily in the drum filming lesson pack. There's a whole lesson there on lenses. I'll link that in the description or somewhere around here. Definitely budget a little bit more for your lens. I normally recommend like a 60-40 split or a 70-30 split, favoring the lens. So once you have that set up, in order to get the most out of that camera, your next purchase should probably be lighting. It should probably be lighting because, yes, your camera has the ability to compensate for low light situations by turning up the ISO, or, you can manipulate the f-stop or anything. There's a lot of ways that you can manipulate your camera and your lens to compensate for poor lighting. But if you want to get the most clarity out of your camera, if you want your camera to give you the best image quality that you can possibly get, you're going to need good lighting. That doesn't mean that nice cameras and lenses aren't going to perform decent in low lighting. They'll perform a lot better than your phone and a hell of a lot better than a GoPro. But really, to get your money's worth out of the camera, that's where the lights come in. So you could get that camera and make do with just regular lamps or something. But in order to get your money's worth, you're going to want to do lights next. So that's number 4. And then number 5 would be the setting, because I have made what I would consider to be decent quality videos in a black concrete box. I mean, how else would you describe the old studio, right? Black concrete box?
Black concrete prison.
Yeah, yeah, windowless prison. Yeah. Kind of like this. It's just this is just the penthouse of the prison.
Yeah,
it's
this is a little bit nicer. There's nicer chairs.
There's nicer chairs. And it's not concrete, though the floor is concrete in here. Yeah, I think setting is probably the least important, because... And it's a cheap one to change. It's very easy to paint the walls. It's very easy to buy some Orlex foam if you want like the real studio aesthetic. But for me, I don't know. I've never gone overkill on the aesthetic, right? I mean, the lamps certainly help, but that's not really setting. That's like stage lighting sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I would say the last thing is really setting. Now, this is heavily expanded upon inside of the drum filming course, but your setting... it is going to determine what kind of lights are going to work for you, and especially what kind of lens and kind of the camera as well, right? Like if you're in a really small space, the lens is going to be that's a big decision that you have to make. Like a 50 millimeter lens is useless to you if you're filming in a 10 by 10 room. Like good luck. You're just going to be filming your elbows all day because the crop is so naturally tight, especially if you get an APS-C censored camera. Like, well, now it's cropped to like a 70 millimeter. So, good luck with that. You need something really wide. So setting does sort of impact a lot of the previous stuff on the list, but ultimately I think you can work around whatever setting you happen to be in. So that's my list. Drum gear first. You should love your instrument. We're musicians, first and foremost. Then editing, you can certainly spend plenty of time on editing, and it'll set you up to know what to do with the footage that comes with your camera and your lens setup. Then if you want to get the most out of that camera and lens, buy yourself some good lights. And then, after you have all that stuff, maybe it's time to pick a good setting to put it all in. But of course, you can make all this work in a closet if you had to. So, great question. That was a lot of fun.
Cool. Second part of that, though, it's answered in that list. How should one be spending most of their money / time when wanting to have a successful online career? Yeah.
So, that is kind of a separate question. I would say the instrument and the camera and the lens, that falls in the category of like, get it out of the way. Like, go ahead and put all the money there first, get all that stuff out of the way, and then you can focus on the details. Lighting, lights don't last forever. You're going to upgrade them and swap them out and move them around, and maybe you'll buy some you don't like. There's also cheaper solutions, so you don't have to go broke buying lighting. I will throw one other thing in that category, though, and that is a computer. It's like the mothership of a studio. Like, you can just cripple your whole production with a weak computer. My computer in this studio is one of the most expensive single purchases in the entire studio. It's more expensive than any individual camera, any individual lens. Maybe the drums kind of come close, but probably not. It's probably the single most expensive thing is my iMac, right?
Oh my God. Oh yeah.
It's mandatory.
It's so essential.
Yeah.
And you will cry for a while about the price.
Oh, it stings. It stings, yeah.
But you'll only cry once. Like, buy once, cry once is what another YouTuber I know of says.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's
you
totally
just buy
true.
it once and then you don't have to think anymore.
And also, remember this too, man. If you go out and buy the 4K badass whatever camera, dude, you have no idea what that footage does to a computer. Remember, 4K is 4 times bigger than 1080. It's 4 times the amount of data. And yes, that can sometimes translate to 4 times the rendering time. So, you can just absolutely brutalize a computer if it's underpowered for what you're doing. So, dude, my old iMac, one over here, it's now it's just a dedicated audio computer. That's all it does. But the reason I had to upgrade from that iMac, which was still a great computer, was because I had 4 cameras running 1080. And there were times where I record for 30 minutes. And so you're looking at a total of like 2 consecutive hours of 1080 footage. And just the import and rendering color correction on that was sometimes like an hour plus of just sitting around, and the computer's fans would kick on. It sounded like it was going to blast off into outer space, and I knew this thing is not going to keep up for much longer, so I had to upgrade from there. So I would toss the computer in there as well, but drum gear, camera gear, computer, if that stuff is out of the way, then the editing comes with time. The lights you'll always be tweaking around. You know, everything else is just sort of, you'll piece together over the years. But those three, I would say, spend your money there first for sure. Great question, man. It was a lot of fun.
Well, what about their time?
The time? Oh, it's so all at once. It's kind of all at once, right?
Everything evenly placed, right?
One successful studio day for me involves all of these things. It involves the cameras and lenses and adjusting the settings and understanding, you know, you're learning every time you touch the thing. It involves audio, microphone adjustments. It involves tuning the gear. It involves editing and getting to know plugins, you know, whatever particular project that I'm working on. You're definitely going to have to do all of that stuff. You know, setting is the only one on this list that is not really relevant for me. I'm not moving my kit around town to different places like that. But the other four, it's a whole living, breathing sort of thing, man. It's a successful day. You should touch each one of these realms. You should touch your camera, mess around with it a little bit, learn something. Same with editing. Same with drum gear. Yeah, I don't know that you should just pick one and spend a year doing it. That's all living, breathing, one big amorphous blob of online content creator skills. So yeah, all at the same time, Matt. I don't know that you need to pick a direction there. Thank you for watching this clip. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're looking to in any way make yourself a better drummer online, which let's be honest, you probably are, that's why you click this video, make sure to click the link in the description or the link that's around here somewhere. Free 7-day trial to my online drum school. You'll find 160 hours of drum lessons there and one of the world's largest collections of drumless play-alongs. Trust me, you will find something you love, and I would love to have you on board. OrlandoDrummer.com. I will see you there.